Flamengo are one of the biggest clubs in South America. They're the current champions of Brazil. They're the champions of South America as well. He used to play for them. For family reasons,
he tried to leave. He spoke to Flamengo, he spoke to the president at that time, he instructed his agent to try and get him back to Brazil.
Paquetá is now pushing for a move back to Brazil. There's been strong rumours of interest from his former club Flamengo, and it's
going to be playing, and obviously we linked to a couple of players in Flamengo, like Leo Pereira as well.
Fala galera, mais um vídeo aqui para o canal. Vamos ver o que a mídia inglesa tá falando desse interesse do Flamengo no Lucas Paquetá, né? Saiu a notícia hoje que o Flamengo está em negociações avançadas com o Lucas Paquetá e que ele já tinha dado até o ok. Mas já deixa nos comentários aí, galera, o que vocês acham desse nome Lucas Paquetá no Flamengo. Eu, como flamenguista, se vim para tudo. Baita contratação. Galera, me ajuda aí, já deixa o seu like no vídeo, se inscreve aí no nosso canal, comenta, compartilha aí com seus amigos, hypa e ativa o sininho para não perder nenhum vídeo. Mas chega de enrolação, vamos ver o que a mídia inglesa tá falando desse interesse do Flamengo no Lucas Paquetá.
And then there was a bit more news. Jacob Steinberg came out, ex-WHO employee, came out and said that Lucas had asked not to play against QPR and wants to join Flamengo, who are willing to pay around 40 million euros for the West Ham midfielder. Unclear if Paquetá plays for West Ham again, but they remain reluctant to sanction a January sale. And there's a furore on, you know, you're leaving, you know, a drowning ship. I think a few of them, just looking, a few of them have put abandoning a sinking ship, and I can understand the anger, but to be honest, none of us thought we were going to have Lucas Paquetá in the side in the beginning of August. With, you know, he'd had the best part of 2.5 years, absolute hell at West Ham, not for West Ham, but because of the hearing, we assumed the summer was sorted. He was going to go back to Brazil, and to be honest, everyone sort of went, yeah, fair enough, off you go, and nothing's changed with that. If you can get 40 million euros for him, get 40 million euros for him. You know, I don't really see the furore of it all. You know, he didn't play yesterday, and I thought we had a decent side. You know, it allows the likes of Fernandez to push on. It likes Magassa can push into that CDM role. And it might explain why we laid out so much more money at the beginning of the summer, but the January transfer window, rather. You know, I don't begrudge him wanting to go back to Brazil. I didn't begrudge him to go back to Brazil 18 months ago. I didn't, you know, or throughout the whole of this process. You know, it's, you know, the way he's been treated by the FA is appalling. And, you know, and actually, to be fair, you know, the likes of Villa and Tottenham are both shown interest in him. Indeed, apparently Tottenham have put a bid in for him, and his preference is to stay, not to stay in the Premier League, but to go back to Brazil. Flamengo going to be playing, and obviously we linked to a couple of players in Flamengo, like Leo Pereira as well. Is that a coincidence we've been linked with him? I don't. Maybe not. You know, I'll take 35 and Leo Pereira, please. Thank you very, very much. Straight away, we'd have a centre half that we need, a strong centre half, and then some money to then reinvest in other areas of the team.
Okay, let's start with the big developments then coming out of West Ham this afternoon. Carvo, what can you tell us about this?
Look, the situation is that Lucas Paquetá wants to return to Brazil to play for Flamengo, and it is just for personal reasons. He's been deeply affected by the FA betting case, which threatened to end his career. If you remember, back in July, he was cleared of spot fixing charges after a 2-year investigation. The situation regarding him is that for his own happiness and the happiness of his family, he just feels like he needs to get back to Brazil. Now, apart from Flamengo, there are also 2 Premier League clubs who are interested in signing him, but he really is not interested in anything apart from moving back to Brazil. Interestingly, the window in Brazil is open until March, and we're being told that, look, he may not go this month, he may not go next month, he may not go in March, but he really is going to return to Brazil either now or next summer. Now, it's important to stress West Ham's position. Their position is he's a West Ham player, he's got 18 months left on his contract, they've got an option of extending that by a further 12 months as well, and they have not received any formal offers for him at all.
So, looks like the player wants to leave, Mark, but can West Ham really afford to let him go?
Absolutely not. You listen to Nuno Espirito Santo talking at the moment, and he wants to recruit players. He doesn't want to lose one of the key players in that squad. You can see the importance of Paquetá. Look at the metrics there. The data tells you he's the most important player when it comes to touches in the first team. The goals, he's third. this is obviously in the Premier League since his arrival. Really, when they're in such a precarious situation in the Premier League, 7 points adrift at the moment. They have a weaker goal difference than the team fourth from bottom as well. So it's essentially 8 points. And right now, West Ham are looking at strengthening Nuno's squad, giving him all the tools they possibly can, because losing a player that's so key could be disastrous at this stage of the season.
Look, Carve, relegation seems like it could be a possibility for West Ham. Given that situation, should they perhaps take the money and reinvest it?
I think it would be a really, really big risk to sell Paquetá now. They're 7 points away from safety. If you look at the Premier League table, West Ham have won 3 Premier League games this season. He's scored in 2 of those games. So if you're a West Ham fan, you're thinking, how are we going to stay up? And how are we going to stay up if we sell Paquetá? But you have to look at it from his perspective as well. Flamengo are one of the biggest clubs in South America. They're the current champions of Brazil. They're the champions of South America as well. He used to play for them. For family reasons, he wants to go back there. I just think, knowing the player, if he is to stay at West Ham, he will still give 100% to try and make sure that West Ham... I think it's just too much of a risk for them to sell him at this point of the season. I think Nuno sees him as his best player. I think Nuno would want to keep him. In normal circumstances, I would say it comes down to how much money Flamengo are willing to put on the table. The latest information we have is that they are willing to offer around 30 million euros at the moment. That is about 26 million pounds. Now, I would expect them to go higher than that. But I think West Ham would look at this and think, we paid around 42 million pounds for him. So not only is he our best player, but why would we want to sell him at a loss when potentially he's still got 18 months plus another year left on his contract? So I just think he's more likely to stay rather than leave this month. But long term, I think he's going to go back to Brazil. And I think people should remember that he wants to go back for family reasons. If he goes back, he'll be taking a pay cut as well. And people should also remember how big a club Flamengo are. They really are a massive club in South America. And for a player like Paquetá, it's very difficult for him to say no to them.
It would still be difficult for West Ham.
But that's enough of that. Let's talk about Lucas Paquetá, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. It's quite big, this, and I'll give you my sort of feelings as we go through it. So this is from ex-WHU employee on the West Ham Way Patreon this morning. West Ham have confirmed that Lucas Paquetá is now pushing for a move back to Brazil. There's been strong rumours of interest from his former club Flamengo, and it's thought that the Brazilian wishes to return to his homeland. This is nothing really great news in terms of that. We've known for a while that Paquetá was keen to go back to Brazil, and as I've said previously, my personal feeling is, from what's happened the last couple of years with the FA investigation, all that stuff, I totally get it. I can completely understand as to why he would want to go back. I've got to be honest, I'm tiring of Paquetá now as a West Ham fan. I'm really finding this whole saga with him never ending. We've had 2 years of turmoil with the guy because of this whole betting allegation stuff. Not his fault, of course, that's something different, but we've had crappy performances from him. We've had loads of, how many issues have we had with him on the pitch as well, in terms of throwing strops, getting sent off, and all these things. It just feels like it's a never-ending drama with Paquetá, and this is the season I was hoping that once that case had been closed with the FA, that we were going to see a resurgent Lucas Paquetá this season, and someone that was going to help lead us. Let's not forget he's a senior player, in this team, and undoubtedly a highly gifted player as well. And I just feel like all we ever seem to get from Paquetá is headache after headache, this issue with him over and over again. I'm just finding it exhausting, really. I really am finding it. I'm very fed up with it.
It is that Lucas Paquetá wants out of West Ham United, and he's looking to return to Brazil during the January transfer window, and this also explains his absence from the squad yesterday, who beat QPR. Due to the uncertainty over his future, he wasn't included by Nuno, who wishes to keep the Brazilian midfielder, and West Ham are reluctant to sell, but Paquetá wants to leave whatsoever. Get him gone. That's what I would like to see happen. If Paquetá wants out, get him sold ASAP, get the money into the club and reinvest in this window immediately, because our chances of survival are slim, really, really slim. I'm kind of sick of him by now. He tried to leave last summer, summer 2024, he tried to leave. He spoke to Flamengo, he spoke to the president at that time, he instructed his agent to try and get him back to Brazil. Now, what I will say, at that point, there was the FA investigation into the betting allegations. That was ongoing. We hadn't heard at that point. It makes complete sense. Then last summer, 2025, he spoke to Felipe, the manager of Flamengo. He wanted to go back to Brazil again. I believe, this is my own belief, he would have joined Aston Villa if it wasn't for the uproar of the fans. I think West Ham got cold feet. This is something Fabrizio Romano has always stuck to his guns with. When he was playing for Brazil, he was on international duty, which, by the way, I think is brilliant. Whenever players go play for their country, they tend to speak a little bit more. They're a bit more honest because they can speak in their native language. They trust the journalists a little bit more. So when Paqueta went away with Brazil, that's when he admitted he'd spoke to Flamengo on 2 separate occasions. But he also reiterated that while I'm at West Ham, I'm going to give everything. I have no anger towards him. I have no ill feeling towards him. I say, on his day, a brilliant player. We didn't see it enough. There was a 2-year FA investigation in the middle of his time with us as well. But that pass in Prague, worth it. It was worth having it, Lucas Paqueta at this club, because of that pass to Jared Bowen that won us the European trophy. So if he goes or when he goes, I'll say, Lucas, thank you very much. Off you go.